welcome to Behind the Badge. I'm Chief Alan Rodbell of the Scottsdale Police Department. With me is Chris Vassell, our community liaison. How are you,
Almost
Chris?
forgot my name.
Always.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good, thanks.
Good.
We've got a really interesting show
We
today,
do.
and in fact, a little bit of your past history.
It is.
Yeah?
It's near and dear to my heart because
Yeah.
it's what I began my career as, as a police aide, and I think it's a very, very important part of the department, and I think that they contribute a lot to the safety and the well-being of our citizens, and I think it's great that we're going to be able to introduce them and show the public what they do.
Yeah, I think probably when you think of police departments, obviously you think of police officers, and you think of, because of television, detectives, and then you you think about dispatching and dispatch calls, and maybe you've had some experience where you need a record, so you know there are people that work in police records and people that process crime scenes. But there's really a group of unsung heroes in our police department. They come to work every day, support a number of functions throughout the police department. That's what we're going to talk about. These folks all have the same job title, but they have many, many different jobs
Within the
department. And without them doing those jobs as civilian employees, we'd have to have more police officers to do those jobs.
Correct.
And so they really do a lot of work for us. People just don't realize who they are. They see them on occasion, don't recognize the uniform, and wonder what functions they provide the police department. And it's kind of exciting to be able to reveal some of the things that our police assistants do for us every day.
Correct, and we've never had them on the program, so I'm so excited to have them here. And we have 5 of the best that we have on the department, and let's introduce them and let them tell us who they are and what they do.
Okay, sounds good. Colleen, go ahead, start.
My name is Colleen Gaba. I've been a police aide since 2003. And currently, the past 3 years have moved to being a station officer.
Okay,
from
so
patrol.
And as a station officer, Colleen, what exactly do you do?
Well, we handle a lot of the walk-in. Sometimes there's a walk-in that needs a report filed, so we'll handle those, similar to the ones on the road. So they're walking into the station, so we'll handle it for them there. We'll take the walk-in complaints, or sometimes right now I'm down at the court, so we'll take a lot of the issues that they have for the court. They'll come over to the police department side, and we'll handle those. So
you've had a number of different assignments. So you say right now you're down at the court,
yes.
But I know you've worked at a couple of district stations as that in that position.
Yes.
But prior to that, you were actually on the street as well.
Right, I was
Okay.
on patrol prior to that for several years before that. So, and that was up in the Violinda district.
Okay, you've been with the city of Scottsdale how long now?
1997.
Since 1997. Very good, very good. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being our guest.
Thank you.
Stephen.
Scott Curtis.
Scott, I'm sorry.
Thanks, Chief.
Yep, that's me.
I'm with the Crime Prevention Unit. I've been with the Police Department now for 9 years, with the Crime Prevention Unit since March now.
Okay, and so what exactly do you do as a crime prevention officer?
Okay, with the Crime Prevention Unit, my main task is to just read through everything. I'm assigned to a specific district. I'm the Violinda district.
Okay.
I read through all the reports that come through that district, everything that comes in, kind of looking for not just crime trends, but also people and places that are problem areas and problem people. And then I'll talk to the commander about it, and we'll come up with strategies on how we're going to approach those crime issues.
So it's a proactive approach, and you work hand in hand with the crime prevention officers who then enforce or take action to things that you have
Correct. And also,
partnered with.
We also send stuff to patrol too to do some follow-up on stuff.
Perfect.
And we'll come back and talk about some of the programs that you and your crime prevention officer is involved in terms of offering to the public, because there's a lot of programs and opportunities you offer that folks may not be aware of, and we'll talk about how to access that in a second.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks. Brian, how are you?
Brian Wolf. Good. How are you, Chief?
I know Scott is too. I'm going to do this at least once a program. I got it out of the way.
Brian Wolf, work patrol. I've been with the department. October will be 8 years.
Okay.
I guess the best way that it was described to me is that we do 80% of what an officer does, but we're defensive and not offensive, so we don't have suspect contact. Currently assigned to D Squad down at District 2, working patrol, handling calls, traffic accidents, and then I also, secondarily, I'm attached to the DUI task force, and I also driving instructor down at the track.
Yeah, and at one time we actually did a study, and there was a statistic that about 12% of the work that was done on the street was being done by the PAs. So that's 12% of the time that officers are freed up to respond to emergency calls and be prepared to do some, proactive kind of work as a police officer. So the amount of workload that you all carry for officers is tremendous.
And you, as a police aide, obviously that they will take reports. They do theft and burglary and missing kids, and they do car accidents and issue parking citations. So like Brian says, they really do 80% of what the officer does. They just do not have arrest powers. But if you need help, if you're stranded somewhere, you have an abandoned vehicle, most likely a police aide will be there to help you.
Absolutely. So Scott, talk about some of the programs that you guys offer through your office.
Well, we've got a couple things. One of the things we do is we deal with the apartment complexes with the crime-free housing, multi-housing. So if we find problem people in the apartment complexes, we have a working relationship with those apartment complexes so that we can work at getting rid of these problem people right away, and then get them out of our city or get them out of their area, so that our crime can go down if these people are causing a lot of our crime issues.
And this is a national program that we've adopted here in Scottsdale.
Correct. I think we were probably one of the first agencies to really put forth a really big effort to get a lot of people, a lot of complexes into the multi-crime-free situation. And basically they're just doing proactive stuff and trying to prevent things from happening before it becomes a problem.
And security checks, home security checks?
Our crime-free officers, they do the security surveys usually. They will go, if we send everything out, send a letter out to everybody who's been a victim of a burglary, but anybody can actually request the program. We'll actually have the officer come out, they're going to walk through the house and walk around the house, and they're going to give you tips as to what you can do to make your house not a target for burglary or theft.
Right.
So it's a great program. Corey Sneed is actually a national known figure in terms of this stuff. He's really good at this stuff. So that's a program that we offer to the citizens to help prevent crime.
And that's free of charge.
Yes. we have 4 district stations, and so each district station has their own crime prevention officer. Does each station have a PA in the role that you're in?
Yes.
Okay, so that staff is at every district station, and that really is their local resource. And so you can find out what station your community belongs to by going on our line, but typically it's the border of Tempe to the south side of Osborne. Is District 1, and District 2 goes from North Osborne to south side of McDonald, and then North McDonald to the south side of Cactus is District 3, and then District 4 is north. But there's a resource like Scott at all 4 of the district stations, and so thank you for that, appreciate that. And so tell me a little bit about how you got into this, because one of the things we're interested in showing our viewers in terms of people might be interested in careers, is that how did you get interested in, because not every police department has PAs. We're kind of unique, and quite frankly in Scottsdale our PAs are very unique because you all do a lot of work that other places the PAs don't do. And so tell us how you got into this, just for background.
Basically, since I was little, I was always interested in detective work and things like that, always reading detective books and kind of curious about how to solve problems and solve the cases. But my family's been in law enforcement, so kind of saw both sides growing up. And then when I moved out here, it was I met a lot of people from the department, and they had nothing but nice things to say, and actually tried to pull me quicker into the agency, and I wish I would have done that quicker back then. I wasted a lot of years not doing it.
Yeah.
So
you enjoyed your career?
Oh yeah, I love my career.
It's very rewarding.
Yes,
It's great.
yes.
Thank you.
Scott.
Well, I just kind of was interested in the police department, and I was really looking into Scottsdale because I felt like Scottsdale was such a great department. I'd heard such great things about it, and then I learned about it through the HR department about this Police Aide program. And when I got into it, I just absolutely loved everything about it. I loved dealing with because we deal a lot with the victims, and I just like trying to help people. And I think that's this Police Aide program really does that.
Very cool.
Brian.
Well, I started, my background's mostly corporate security, and then the place that I was working for kind of went bankrupt, I had a choice. So actually I went to another department for a few years and kept on hearing about Scottsdale and the Police Aide program. So 8 years ago I decided it was time to be more hands-on and do, like you said, Chief, we're unique all over the country. We do so many things. So I came on board, and it's hard to believe it's been 8 years.
Wow, time goes by pretty fast.
Yeah,
doesn't
it does. It
does.
really does.
Yes. How about you, Chris? How did you end up in this business?
I worked at Scottsdale Memorial Hospital, and I was in security over at the hospital, and the cops used to come over there and eat all the time. And I met a lot of the cops, and they were like, why don't you come on over to the PD? And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. And so 31 years ago I applied, and when I applied, it took me over a year and a half in the process to get through to become a police aide, and here I am. 31 years later,
31
still
years
here.
later, we hired 11-year-olds. That's good. So,
You're so sweet.
but the age is 18, right? Anyone that's interested
yeah,
now?
I think it's
18
18.
now, everybody that's interested. And you can go online and see a little bit about it, but we're always interested, and we may actually have some vacancies as we speak, but it's a long process. You get, in our department, you get vetted. Even as a volunteer, you get vetted just as if you were going into law enforcement, and so we're looking for the same characteristics and qualities in our PAs that we look for in our police officers. So
all employees, volunteers, everybody has to go through the same.
The only thing you have to do is the
check.
physical. You have to do the physical fitness, but you have to do that test. But you have to do all the rest. So you have to have a good background. And you're gonna have to get through the testing process and the interview process and I guess the psychological and all the other screening that takes place, because we want all our employees to we want to demonstrate to our community that our employees are the best in the world.
Yep,
and we're very proud of you
absolutely.
guys. You guys have been great
Thank
guests.
you for coming today.
We're sort of,
Thank you.
this particular segment was about patrol and the patrol
Patrol-related.
function, but we also have some PAs and other functions.
Yep.
And so when we get back, we're going to talk to a couple PAs that are in our investigative functions.
Great.
So again, thank you folks for being part
Thanks,
of this.
guys.
Thanks. Welcome back to Behind the Badge. We are actually talking to a very significant part of our police department that people really get an opportunity to see. They do tremendous work for us and assistance, and quite frankly, a lot of community service. They just don't realize it because they're very much behind the scenes. And so the second segment, we're going to talk to some police assistants, police aides, who actually work in different units other than on the street.
Correct,
and so,
in special assignments.
Right. And since you have a special tie to one of our guests, why don't you do the introduction?
I'm going to introduce both of them. I love them both. Christy Larson Montag. I call her Christy Sue. She's my senior right there. She is the most senior police aide on the police department. She started in January of 1983, and I started in March of 1983. And so Christy Sue is currently working in the FODAR radar division, and Kathleen Stamatis, she is working in our investigative services bureau. She does works with the persons and property crimes, and she's at the Family Advocacy Center. So both of them have been on the department for quite a while, and I'm very excited to have them here with us today.
Welcome, ladies. And fortunately for me, Kathleen only has one name. So I get the Christy, I'll try to figure what her name is.
Yeah, Christy Sue Larson Montag.
Yeah, I'm not going there, okay? Anyway, so welcome both of you
Thank
to
you.
our
Thank you.
show. Very, very pleased to have you guys here and be able to showcase a little bit what you do, because you do so much behind the scenes that people just aren't aware of. So I'm sure people are curious about what you do with traffic enforcement and photo enforcement. I'm sure that's a thing that people think about a lot in terms of like what's going on behind the scenes. Tell us what your job is.
Yes, our day starts out with working in the computer and actually processing the violations that occur, making sure the plate matches, the vehicle matches the person, and because if it's not the right person, we'll look for the person that's driving, because we don't only cite the registered owner, it's the person that's driving. And then we get mail in that we have to process for people identifying other people. And we got court, so we process our packets for court. Every Tuesday we're in court. In fact, yesterday I handled 19 cases for people wanting to take it to trial. So you may not know this, because I may ask you ahead of time to think about this, but what's the total number of violations or photo enforcement, I guess, documents you receive on a daily basis from the system that we have? Well, it varies, because it depends on who's helping us out. There's 3 people in the unit that actually do the processing, and then we have a supervisor. And every once in a while we'll get some outside assistance too. It's called a queue that we have, and once it gets higher, we're asking for assistance because it takes time to go through that. So it just depends. We like it under 1,000, preferably, but sometimes the queue gets over that.
So that means that what you're saying, that there's 1,000 red light or speeding tickets that maybe come through, and then that those are the things that you process to
Correct.
bring to fruition, to bring to court, to either adjudicate or have them, unless they, of course, pay the fine
Or go to defensive
and
driving.
go defensive driving. So
Right.
those are the options if you get a photo radar citation.
Right.
I think what's important here to realize is that it doesn't go from the camera to the house. I mean, there's a process of review that takes place to make sure that, one, we do have the right person being cited. It does
Exactly.
match. There wasn't a problem with the camera equipment. So it isn't just a matter.
Balances.
Yeah,
Checks and balances.
there's checks and balances. It's just automatically, oh, I'm going to get a picture in the mail. I'm going to get a citation. There's a human element to this, and you're that human
Exactly.
element to making sure that the system's working correctly.
Yes, we review each one.
And I will tell you this, I mean, that's a huge number when you think about it.
That's a lot of red
That's
light violations
That's a
and
lot
speeding.
of people going through red lights, and we've seen some of the horrific accidents that have occurred because they're videotaped for a short period when that occurs. We've seen the horrific accidents of people running red lights. It's the most dangerous thing that you can do because it's going to end up either in a side collision. I mean, someone's running into someone's doorway, literally, and then you have people sitting in the front seat of the car, either as a driver or passenger. It's incredibly dangerous.
Right.
And what we've found out is, and regardless of what your opinion is of this, whether you
Right.
like this, don't like
Right.
this,
It is- it
technology
does
shouldn't be
slow
doing it,
people
officers
down.
it slows people down, it prevents serious accidents, it saves lives, it makes very dangerous intersections, our experience has been, safer.
A lot safer.
A
Absolutely.
lot safer. So regardless of what your opinion is of whether we should be using technology or not, people should know there's an element of checks and balances.
Right.
It's not automatic. We
Right.
look those things over. We make sure it's a proper violation before we send them out. And they always have the opportunity to pursue it in court
Correct.
if they feel as though it's not fair and they weren't the people that were responsible.
Right.
And so that's really important here. And you guys do amazing work. That's a lot of work for your office
very
to
busy in
process
there.
on a regular, daily basis. These machines run daily.
Daily.
So it's a daily job. So thank you for all that.
You're welcome.
Kathleen, you've got a multitude of jobs supporting
do,
Investigative
I do.
Services Bureau.
I have plenty to keep me
Yeah,
busy.
so tell us a bit
Yes.
about what you do.
Well, I work in persons crimes. I'm at the Family Advocacy Center, which is an amazing center. We have sexual assault nurses there that are there to help our victims. We have CPS on site. We have police crisis intervention, which so many departments don't offer to their citizens. So it's wonderful we do. And then we have sex crimes, domestic violence unit, gang unit, and the violent crimes unit are all there on site. And then I work misdemeanor persons crimes, usually from violent crimes. Also, I have some DV cases. I'm the animal cruelty investigator for the department now. I also take every CPS case that comes through. I review it, research it, log it, and determine whether or not it needs to go to the sergeant to be investigated, whether it was our jurisdiction. I also work on the warrant roundup. We have a DV warrant roundup. There's a database that is updated twice daily, and it has all our domestic violence warrants that come from the court. So I put together packets quarterly. Last time we did over 100 packets, and we cleared so many out of the database. About a year ago, there were 900, I think 950, maybe more than that. We're down to a little over 300 now.
It's amazing.
So,
That's
and
a lot
some
of
of them
work.
stay in the database if the only way to clear it is through arrest or if the warrant is quashed. I also do CALEA. We're an accredited agency. So we do a CALEA audit every 3 years.
So here's why I interrupt
Yes.
you. Because people watching television.
They don't know what CALEA
You've
is.
asked,
Don't know
you've
what
actually
CALEA
used a
is?
couple code words. You said DV, then you explained domestic
Domestic
violence. No, you did
violence.
explain that. You said CALEA, and people don't. They may, if they watch the program a lot,
Yeah.
know a little
Yeah,
bit what it
little
is.
bit.
But CALEA is really an accreditation
Yes.
process that we go through, just as hospitals are accredited, or universities are accredited. Our police department is accredited based on national standards that we have to adhere to. And you're responsible for a great part of that.
3 lieutenants I put together their proofs for. And then also I'm part of an animal cruelty task force that just started this last year. Let's see, I work with the DUI task force. We go out and do educational details called Know Your Limit, where we interact with the public and educate them about drinking and driving. And it's a real positive experience. In fact, at the Waste Management Open last year, we contacted over 6,000 people. That's with probably 5 different agencies helping us. And then I'll work on the task force with them. I draw blood for the department. I went through the first law enforcement phlebotomy program. I just got Intox certified, so I assist with doing the Intox now too. Trying to think if there's something I missed.
I know what you do in your spare time. So, in regard to what you mentioned about Know Your Limits, which actually we're very, very proud of, because Scottsdale
We just did
PD
a
started
program on
this.
that.
We just
Remember,
did a program on that.
A couple months ago, we
It's-
did that with the officers.
It's
And
getting national attention.
Right.
We've had many departments from around the country come visit us to see how this works. But I will tell you what's so exciting about that program, and I've said it before, is that for years we didn't know how to impact the number of drunk drivers on the road. Year after year after year, we'd be arresting more and more people. And that's a problem you just can't wrest yourself out of. You can arrest everybody, but it just seems like there's more and more people getting arrested. This program that you're involved in, Know Your Limits, is the first time we've impacted the number of arrests to go down. And we want arrests to go down. We don't. So we're contacting all these people and keeping them from getting behind the wheel of the car. Those that shouldn't aren't getting behind the wheel of the car, and we're preventing that. Same number of officers on the street making less arrests. That's actually good news.
keeping everybody else safe.
That's
so
the
that
good
the
news.
officers don't have to, or the PAs don't have to do car accidents.
Yeah. Or very serious accidents,
And
of
what's
course.
so great about this is that both of the PAs work so closely with the officers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we want the audience to know, that the police aides work hand in hand. They are partners with the sworn officers to help them do a better job. And we know in Scottsdale, under your supervision, that we want to be the lean, mean machine. We want to make sure we're proactive. We want to get our officers out there to do the best that we can do for our citizens. And if it wasn't for the police aides, the officers would be tied up a lot more.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Christy, can I call you Christy?
Yes.
Christy,
Sue.
tell us how you got into the business.
Well, I got my education at ASU, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And so I was looking towards law enforcement, and I found out about the police aide job, and we were called police aides at that time. Prior to that, they were police assistants, but they changed the name because they changed the program a little bit. So we're civilian capacity, and we don't wear the gun. So once I got into the program, I liked it so much that it was just an exciting job. You get to ride around in the patrol car, drive it, you're in the unit yourself, and you handle the accident reports and take the investigations and go to people's houses and help them with their burglaries that just occurred.
Very cool.
So there was so many facets of the job that every day was just, they pay me to do this. And so I was very happy to have it, and I didn't never want to be an officer. I liked what I did.
That's great.
Yeah.
And actually, Christy was probably one of the first ones to be a driving education instructor, like how Brian is right now. If it wasn't for Christy, Brian, you wouldn't be there.
Crime scene.
Crime scene. She was one of the first to do crime scene. So I think at the time, the staff noticed that we would be able to do a lot more things than we could before with Kathleen and some of the other people. And thank goodness that they allowed us to do many more things. And I think that's why the program has grown so much. We are fitness instructors. There has been a lot of things trainers, FTOs. We worked on the desk. That never happened before.
Right.
So I think Christy is probably one of the groundbreakers.
Fabulous. And Kathleen, how'd you get into this business?
My grandfather was chief of police in Michigan, and my uncle was a state trooper, so I always had a great respect for law enforcement. In fact, I went to the academy twice for Scottsdale, got injured both times, and Scottsdale was kind enough to go ahead and keep me in a civilian position where I've been very happy. So.
Well, I'll tell you, no energy in this room.
No.
Anyway, really excited
Groundbreakers.
to have you ladies join us and the other guests.
Absolutely.
To talk about
all of them were awesome.
Talk about a part of the organization that people just don't get a chance to really see and witness. And anybody that's interested in this field, I highly recommend it. It's a great way to go to come into law enforcement field. So that's pretty much our program.
I know, I'm so happy that we did PAs today.
Very cool.
Very close to my heart.
So thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you again next month. Until then, be safe. Bye now.
Bye.